It's great to be here, and I'm really glad that Rachel read that intro so I don't have to talk about all that stuff. I will say that I learned a new term recently that I really like. It is a modern elder, and that's what I am, is a modern elder. I've done so much in my career and in my life, and there's been really great successes and some pretty awful failures. And I have to say that the whole time it's been really fun. So what I like to say is, I mean, the failures, of course, were not really fun. The rebound was fun. That part was fun. And I really believe that we have to fail in order to learn. And so what I love now, being a modern elder, is that I can do what I want to do and have fun. If it's not fun, I don't do it. And that's something that I learned from one of my mentors, Richard Branson. He said, if it's not fun, don't do it. Move on. So you learned a little bit about me. I'd love to know who you all are. I'm assuming, but you can correct me, that you are all business owners. Is that correct? No. If you're not a business owner, what?
Nonprofit.
A nonprofit, an organization. And I want to thank you. That's great, because I really think that we have to think about our nonprofits as businesses. They operate the same way. They just have a little bit different terminology. And what we're going to talk about today is very important, whether you are a business owner, a small business owner, somebody with employees, a team. If you are part of a nonprofit organization, big or little, or even if you are an artist and you want to get your work out into the world, you want to have a presence as an artist, what we're going to talk about is really important. So I have geared this to online, but it's been my experience, because I am a modern elder. I am approaching my seventh level, or seven. I'm not quite there yet. A couple years and I will be 70 years old. So I think that it's really important to think both online and offline. And so I brought for you to look at later. I'll be talking about some of these toys here. These are part of my library. I love books. I love hardcover books. I love to smell books. I love to feel books. I love to do this to books. I use books. So I brought my books for you to look at, some of them, and I'll be talking about some of these books, but a lot of this stuff is digital. It is online. You can read it on your iPad or your tablet. You can download from the internet. So what I have also assembled for you, so I see you're ready to take notes, and that's very cool, but you will also be able to get this whole presentation with all the links, digital links to all of the stuff that I talk about and more. I call them toys, and there's toys in the toy box. So what we're going to talk about is social media, yes, online presence mostly, and also offline presence, just presence, just having a presence and then being strategic with that presence. So with presence, with strategy, we have to have clarity. We have to be sure we're in sync with who we are, what our organization is, what our business is, and be very, very clear. And make sure that our messaging, and that's why I call myself a strategic marketing planner, but I don't like to even use that word marketing, because sometimes as soon as you say marketing, people go, ugh. Well, I don't want to market. I'm not a salesperson. I don't like sales. I don't want to be a marketer. Or they start thinking, okay, marketing, corporate, or marketing, that's not nonprofit. So what I want to do is substitute that word, communicate. We want to have a message that we communicate consistently across every platform, whether it's online, offline, whether it has to do with meeting people one-on-one like this, or meeting them on Facebook. We want to have our message clear. We want to have our presence clear. And that's how you get results. That's where the results come from. So I'm going to go through quite quickly this process that I've developed. And that's why it's so cool, because you can just download this whole thing and have the links, and I don't have to even go through the whole thing. I'm just going to hit the high points. With a strategy, again, a strategy is one of those words that people go, oh, strategy, that sounds really corporate. That sounds really hard. Well, a strategy is a plan. A strategy is a blueprint. I used to design homes. Can't imagine building a home without a blueprint. Now, a blueprint is a very detailed plan, but it's also organic. It changes. Stuff happens. You have to be flexible to make that plan be something that can actually be built, and be open to that process that, yes, it's going to be somewhat flexible, but it's important to have it. And a map is another word that I'd like to substitute for strategy. Can you imagine anymore? I mean, I'm a map freak. I like to look at maps, and I'm very visual. I look at a map, I can memorize my route, and I like that. But I have become very dependent on what? Yeah. So I believe we need a GPS for our businesses. We need a GPS for our organizations. And if we're writers or artists or creatives like that, we actually need a GPS for what we're trying to do in the world. And so that's what my 9 steps will help you do, is get that GPS so you can just plug it in and it'll take you on the right route. But guess what? Have you ever had the experience that your GPS takes you on a detour or a weird route that you never thought you would take? That's okay. That's okay. That's part of the process. So about 7 years ago, I came up with this 9 steps to success. And I based these things on my experience in running businesses and failing at some businesses, and looking at what really worked, not just with business, but with my life too. And I came up with these steps, and I started working with clients and using these steps to help them develop their strategy, or what we're going to now call a playbook, because I like playbook better than anything, because I like to play, I like toys, my toys, I like to have fun. And I, at this point in my life, as being a modern elder and not wanting to do something if it's not fun, I make everything fun. Otherwise I'm not going to do it. So these 9 steps, we'll go through all of them very quickly. They are all deep dive stuff though, so we'll just skim the surface for them. And the first one is core values. Know your why. This is sort of the basis of everything, and it's important if you look at your core values as an individual first, and then as your business. There should be crossover, or at least alignment. Your business or your organization may have slightly different terminology, slightly different syntax, but the basic thing you'll find in doing exploration is pretty much the same. This is what Lynn Twist, I don't know if you know Lynn Twist, she's an amazing lady, we'll talk a little bit about her later maybe. She wrote this book, The Soul of Money. She calls your core values what you stand for, where you draw the line in the sand that you will not cross. So if your core value is inclusion, which happens to be one of mine, and you can use different words for that, but right now, inclusion, that means that when I'm out in the world, in relating with people, I use that. That's the way I operate. A line is in the sand. I do not discriminate. I try my best not to judge, because inclusion is really important to me. That transfers over to my businesses. So almost every single book here also talks about values. And this is a really good one. And this is one that I actually have used when I've taught marketing classes at university at San Francisco State. And this book is so good for anybody to read and to start thinking about, in not so much in a business way, but as your own self. What your own core values are, so that you can really define it. Also, moving into your business, you need to define it. And that is because, here are some of the resources that, if you try to write all this down, we aren't going to have time. So I'm going to give you a link at the end where you can get this whole thing, and it's all hot linked, so you can't even read those right now. Those links will go right to these resources. But all of these are value-based. They're to help you get your head around why it's important to know your why you do what you do. I have Simon Sinek's videos up here. Have any of you seen his TED Talk? It's old. It's like 9 years old, I think. He talks about your why. Watch that video. It's so important. He says, people don't buy what you do or what you make or people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. And he talks about and gives an example of Apple and the Macintosh and how that evolved and how Apple's brand has evolved to people don't buy stuff anymore, they buy why. Their allegiance to the brand is because of why Apple does what they do. So watch that video, it's great. The second one is articulate your message. So once you have your why, once you know your core values, in your strategy, you want to be able to develop your vision, your mission, and your mantra. So vision is looking out 5 years, 10 years, what you stand for, what your brand stands for, what your work stands for, your organization stands for in 10 years. What they want to do big picture. your mission is how you do it. So one of my very favorite mentors is Guy Kawasaki. He talks in this book and Art of the Start. This one was written a long time ago, early 2000s, I think, or late 90s. This was more recently. They incorporate a lot of the same information. Read this one, it's so fabulous. But he talks about your vision and your mission, and he talks about it in terms of corporations and identifiable brands that you will know and how it works, how vision and mission statements can be old and dry and worthless, and how they need to be vibrant and enchanting, and you need to remember it. You need to be able to say it. And if you have employees or staff of any sort, they need to say it too. They need to embody it and be able to express it. So he says, you've heard of taglines, right? So in messaging, taglines are really important. But Guy says, make it a mantra. Don't make it a long tagline. Make it something that is going to be hooky, something that's going to grab people, be memorable. And he gives examples like, just do it. So everybody knows what that brand is, right? It gives a lot of other examples in the book. And you can also look him up online. He does YouTube stuff, and it's really great. In writing a mantra, and this is a toy that I put on here, you can see this one here, Advanced Marketing Institute. I am going to show you something really fun, if I can get, okay. Advanced Marketing Institute Headline Analyzer. This is such a cool tool. This is free. The link is in that packet that you're going to get, that PDF. What you do with this is you can put up here a headline. So if you blog or anything, this is a really great tool, but it's also really good for creating your mantra, creating your tagline. You put your tagline into this box, and then you select a category. And I always select the same one. I do media and communications. So let's see how this would work. I'm going to put, just do it. I don't know if this will even work because it's only 3 words. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put one of the ones that oops. Okay, so that is a tagline for one of my businesses, Passion Project, and we use this to get this. So you put your tagline in there. You say media and communications, then you click Submit for Analysis. You get a immediate printout of your emotional marketing value score. I got 125%. 45% is what most good marketers, most good headlines will get. I play the game, let's get better. And this to me is like Sudoku or something. You know, I sit there and I write stuff and I say, how can I change this to make it have a better emotional marketing value? I bump up my percentage. They also tell you if it's appealing emotionally to intellectual people, is it appealing to spiritual people? And then the previous one was empathetic. So it gives you these little descriptions of what each of those things mean and whether your tagline is appealing to the audience that you want it to. So that's a fun toy, a tool that I have given you in that packet. Let's go back to my presentation here. Let's see. Oop, I don't want to.
Which slide is it on?
That will be on the one that has mantra, the second one, I believe it is. So let's get through, go back to where we were. Yeah, it's on this one, Advanced Marketing Institute Headline Analyzer. So you'll just find this slide, articulate your message, and find that. Next thing you have to find out is who you're talking to. Because the way you articulate your message and the way you get it out there to the world is going to depend on who you're speaking to. If you're speaking to modern elders, you probably will use different language than you use to millennials. And if you determine that your business, your service, your product, your nonprofit needs to be speaking to millennials, and guess what? They all do. If you want to attract the people who will gladly pay for the value you have to give, you better think about a big market right now is millennials. So knowing the language, knowing where to go, knowing where they hang out, how do they dress, how do they, what kind of dogs do they like? Do they like dogs? You know, what kind of house do they live in? So identifying that is really important. It takes a lot of work, but it's fun work. And so I've given you some links to help you with that. You can, my friend Mama Red has a really good video. She also provides services to help you with that. But you can look at this, this slide and do some homework to identify who you're talking to, because your mantra and your vision and your mission have to coincide with that. Everything is integrated. Everything must build on what comes before and be consistent and aligned. The next one is embrace your competition. And I love this because competition is in your head. Co-opetition is where we all need to go. When we're doing our research about who we're going to be talking to, we also want to look at who else out there is talking to them. And what are they doing really good? What's made them so successful that they're top of mind in your industry, in your area? You know, what makes that artist somebody that you say, oh yeah, I know that artist, I know that artist. Well, look at what they do. And embracing your competition means do your market research, look at their websites, look at their presence in the world, watch their videos, see how, if they're in our old business, we were building homes. So I wanted to see who was building the best homes. Who did the clients love the most? What were they doing that allowed them to be at that level? And then make friends with them. They are your best friends. They're not your competitors. You're not competing against them because they're already doing so well that you could kill yourself trying to be them. Instead, be their friend. Admire them, edify them, promote them, do what you can do to embrace them. They will love you for it. And then when they love you for what you're doing for them, guess what they're going to do for you? Oh, yeah, wow. Spectrum Fine Homes, we know that company. And we're booked up right now. We can't take any more jobs. So why don't you go talk to them? And that's what happened in our business. We also did the same. We had colleagues that we knew their work. We knew them as individuals. We knew how their businesses operated. We knew their clients loved them. So when a job came into us and we couldn't do it because either it didn't fit what we did. You know, we were very specific about the kind of work that we did. We'd refer it. we'd refer it out. Oh, that's a wonderful bathroom remodel idea. And, you know, I know exactly the right couple contractors that would do a really good job for you. Here they are. And so we refer that out. And guess what? A couple of years later, the same family would come back to us. Oh, we're remodeling our entire home now. We just bought a new home. We have to gut it and remodel it. We want you guys to do it. Because the little guy couldn't handle that kind of job. So embracing your competition is so much better than trying to compete with them. Let's see what. Here's some tools, some toys to use. You can read these articles online. SpyFu is actually a keyword resource, so you can spy on your competition, and you can see what keywords they're using in their online outreach, their online communication. What is making them so successful? Here are the keywords that are in their posts. And so guess what? You can use those keywords too. Keywords are not private. So that is a really cool tool, and it's free. These articles in Inc. magazine, that was a really good article you can read. Again, all of these are linked in the PDF. So the next one is get tactical and be smarter. And that's the one that I just remembered right now. When I shut down my computer, I didn't bring it up again. Tactics. Get tactical. So here's where we talk about social media. Social media is a tactic. Newsletters are a tactic. What I'm doing right now is a tactic. Public speaking. Networking is a tactic. There are so many tactics to communication, to marketing, to getting your word out, to developing a presence. You want to make sure that when you do any of these tactics, that they are in alignment with your core values, your vision, your mission, your mantra, your message, and it's consistent. And it's consistent. Branding is really important no matter what you do, what kind of business you have, what kind of organization you have. And messaging communication is part of branding. So is visual stuff. As you can see, well, kind of, it's sort of faded out there. I even dressed like my presentation. Same colors in my scarf as in my presentation. My presentation is the same colors and the same figures, the same fonts, the same everything as my website. Your website is a tactic. How many people have websites? Great, everybody. How many people love their website? Great. And how many people make sure at least quarterly that your website is in alignment with your communication, with all values, mission, vision, mantra, brand. You update it, you put new content on. That's great. That's great, because that is how you develop presence and that clarity of knowing, okay, you know, I'm going to get dressed this morning. What should I wear? I'm standing in front of an audience with a PowerPoint behind me, and I'm going to be referring them to my website. So, do I wear my chartreuse outfit? No, I don't have any chartreuse in there. So I wear my scarf that goes with everything, just because it's part of presence, it's part of branding, it's also because I'm a fashionista. I like creating a presence that is my style. And that's building presence. So here's how you research. Oh, well, we did that one already. Get tactical, be smarter. So smarter has to do with goals. All of you probably have heard of SMART goals. I love SMART goals. I love goal setting. I think it's really important to set goals as part of your map, as part of your strategy, part of your playbook. But I really like smarter goals. And because I will include, I need to include that PDF link on there. Smarter goals have everything to do with aligning with your values, your vision, your mission, your messaging. And if I have time, I'll try to look that up for you and show you. I had it up here, but I closed it down. Okay, check in often. When you have goals, and I suggest we start little. I mean, if we start with 10 goals every quarter, it's going to be really overwhelming and not fun. 3 goals. Pick 3 goals. Create your goals for whatever it is you're doing, and this can be your business goals, it can be your marketing goals, it can be your social media strategy goals, it can be, you know, goals for a particular tactic, but let's do 3. And then every quarter, it's really important to check in and see how you're doing on it. And I love teaming. I think that if you have a team, how many of you are solopreneurs? Okay. In being a solopreneur, do you have consultants? Okay, so they're part of your team. Sometimes it's nice to even have a focus group if you're a solopreneur. Invite some friends in or some colleagues that you trust and that you admire, or that you can do a focus group kind of thing. And review those goals. And it's a debriefing process. It's what's working, what's not, how can we do better? And if you find, let's say one of your goals was to develop a Facebook presence, and you've worked it for 3 months, for 90 days, a quarter. And now you're debriefing. And your goals, because we did SMART goals and smarter goals, they're very specific and they're timely and they have a, you know, they're structured. So you can go back after working it for 90 days and you can see, okay, did this work? What didn't work? And should we keep this or should we throw it out? And is it worth learning how to do it better? Or is this just, I hate it. I hate social media. I am never going to do this with passion or fun. So I would say if that is your result, or if you're not getting any results from developing a social media presence, a Facebook presence, throw it out. Don't do it anymore. And if you feel like it should be done, we'll talk about how that works later. Have somebody else do it for you. So here's some tools that you can learn how other teams do debriefing. Asana, I think I have a link here that talks about Asana. If not, look them up. Asana is a project management tool that you can use online. I think for small companies or individuals it's free, but they have a whole lot of blog posts and videos about teamwork, co-creation, project management, and part of that is their debriefing process that they actually go through with a team. It's a fairly large startup corporation in the Bay Area. So their teams maybe have 10 people, and they go through a debrief process probably once a week because they want to stay on top of how things are evolving. But it's really good to look at what's working, what's not, and how can we do better. Invest in your success. Okay, here's what happens. You decide after 90 days of working, and this actually happened in one of my social media strategy, or simple savvy social media strategies, which is for creatives, right-brainers, mostly women over 60 who hate the internet, who are very uncomfortable online. I have these weekly meet-up with them, and we go through how to do strategy, but also how to do Facebook, how to do Instagram, step by step. So we go through 3 months of this, and one of the women in my group, at the end, she goes, I know now that I don't want to do this. I don't like it. It's not fun. She's an artist. She spent a ton of money on her website, which she cannot edit. And she thought, she was told that she had to sell her artwork online to make it. And nobody even goes to her website. She just has zero traffic. So she doesn't sell stuff online. It was set up so that it didn't even work for selling her work online because her work changes so much. So we came up with a different strategy, but it did not include social media. That's not how she sells stuff, and and she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't like Facebook. She was painful. I could see in her face every week. You're like, don't make me do this. So throw it out. Don't do it. Find something else that works. And there was another person in that class, and she liked doing it. She's a writer. She loved writing. She didn't particularly respond to the graphic piece of it that's so important in social media. You have to have video or graphic pictures. Otherwise, people don't read it. You post words on Facebook, sometimes they get response, but usually you need definitely for Instagram, you've got to have a visual. So she said, I'm so busy, I'm doing this and this and this and this, and I got to, and that's her. Very scattered, doing a lot of stuff, dynamic, fun person, but sitting down and doing daily posts on social media, no. So what does she do? She says, I know I need to have this as part of my playbook, as part of what I'm doing to develop presence, but I don't want to do it. Okay, so pay somebody to do it. And she's paying me to do it, which is great. I'm fine with that. So invest in your success. It's important to pay for the things that you don't want to do. There is something, and this is in my resources, I will switch over. The Soul of Money. Read this book. Do a workshop if you can with Lynn Twist. Nonprofit people especially. Lynn was probably the best fundraiser ever. She raised literally billions of dollars for nonprofits over the course of her career. And now she is teaching her methodology, how to ask for money, but it's more than that. It's a mindset about money. And we will never be successful if we think money is evil. Money is necessary to our existence, and it's not evil. Money is currency, and my philosophy is and Lynn's too, probably one reason why I loved her so much when I took the workshop, is that currency is a flow of giving and receiving. A river flows, a current flows. If there's a dam in the river, it gets stopped up. If there's a dam in yourself with giving and receiving, you won't be successful. It'll stop. You have to give and receive, and give and receive. That flow is so important to abundance and success. And so please buy her book. That's another thing. Buy books. Buy books. I bought all of these books. Now, I've also know a lot of these people personally. They were on my radio show, or I've met them at workshops I've gone to. I've paid to go to a lot of conferences. I like to be with people, and I like to learn from people. I've paid, my husband's in the back, I'm not going to say how much money, but over the course of many years, a lot of money has been spent on being part of live events or masterminds. He does know. We were a part of a very high-level mastermind with companies like ours, 12 companies in different parts of the country for 8 years. We would never have been able to achieve the success in our business that we did if it hadn't been for that mastermind experience, which was called Business Networks. Not the same as BNI, it's different. But we paid a lot of money. Easily, this was back in the, started in 2001 for 8 years. It was easily $10,000 a year and we would, and it was even more because we'd take our staff with us when we'd travel every 6 months to these different places all over the country. It was so worth it. We invested in our success, and we saw growth in our company that we would have never seen if we had not done that. And I mean from going from a $500,000 a year company to close to $3 million. So it would not have happened, and I learned so much. So invest in your success. It's buying books. Anybody here writers that are published? How much do you make on selling one book?
4 or 5 cents.
Yes. Yes. And
Great income stream.
it's not an income stream. It is not. It's
Okay.
writing a book is good for developing presence. It's not very good for retirement. I buy books because especially books that people I know have written, because I know they're not going to make $1 million on this, but they need to have the purchases. In order to become an Amazon bestseller, you've got to sell. And so and plus I like touchy-feely. I don't mind buying books. I also do the, free, somebody's offering a 99-cent ebook or a free ebook. I do that too. I may never even look at it, I'm sorry, because I'm not a digital, I hate reading online, but I do it because I want to invest in their success, because I know that it will come back to me. That's the reciprocity part of currency. It's a flow, give, receive, give, receive. So I encourage you all to embrace that idea. This is my heart, is co-create. Being a solopreneur is darned hard. It's impossible. You are not an island. No man is an island. No woman is an island. It takes a village. It really does. And if you want to have fun, most of us, you would not be in this room if you were a hermit. You'd be up on your mountain, in your place, doing your thing. Even the hermits co-create. They co-create with the animals and with nature and everything. But you guys, co-creation, partnering up, teaming is so important because Aristotle said this a long, long time ago. He's a real modern elder. He said, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And you will find that is true always. If it's just you and your ego, you will never have a presence or be as successful as you would if you embraced more people and co-created. So, a couple things that my company is called the Co-Creation Community. That's what I am into, is co-creating, making things fun with teams, with interaction. You grow so much more when you can interact with other people. And there are ways to do that that I can facilitate, that I do facilitate, that make it so much fun and so valuable. So one of them is the brainstorming with the weather system. I use this system for goal setting. I also use it for problem solving with teams. But goal setting is really important. We talked about smarter goals and all of that, to developing your presence. And in social media specifically, so I use Celias System here. It's really fun. It is very visual. You create mind maps. Everybody's mind map looks different. You go through the process of thinking creatively, freshly, by a metaphor of the weather. So the weather system, whether this or whether that, is also the weather system because you examine the goals or the problem. You state a problem or a something you want to deep dive into, and you look at it in the context of a sunny day, a rainy day, a snowy day, a rainbow, all of these different models that I lead you through, and you come out with this incredible mind map, visual. Everybody's looks different. Engineers I've done it with, it's lists. I think that's so funny. And then the artists I do it with, it's like all these wonderful drawings and all this color. But the gist of it is that after the process, you become the weather reporter, or if I do it with big organizations or for organizations, I become the weather reporter. And the goals and the ideas come right out of those interactive brainstorming session. It's really cool. You can go, I gave you the link. Oh, I don't know if we have time for this story because I want time for questions.
We have about 10 more minutes.
Okay, I won't tell you the story, but it's, well, I will because this is an online group. So my friend Celia, who developed this, is in the UK, and she has a very big presence in Europe, and she travels all over the world to help people with this process in India and the EU and Australia and all kinds of places. And they do these brainstorms for corporations or startups or conferences and things like that. She did one a couple years ago on Brexit. And they came out with some really interesting things in the weather report about what could happen, of weather forecast, she called it, of what could happen with Brexit. And over the last year, a lot of these things that they brainstormed about and was in this forecast started coming to be. She's being a public person, she starts blogging about it. She's very out there with her stuff. And I talked to her, Skyped with her a couple weeks ago, and she said, well, my website was hacked. And I thought, oh, yeah, okay, that's scary, or that's a pain in the neck. And so she said, yeah, I put it up, back up, and then 2 weeks later, the whole website's gone.
Wow.
I mean, like, not just hacked, like it won't work very well, like disappeared it. And the next day or a couple days later, she was run down or almost run down by somebody, which is so scary to think that we, in developing our presence, we're out there. And with Brexit, she's dealing in the UK with a very volatile atmosphere, just like we have here. And she's put herself out in the world as somebody who's sort of been able to predict things that are happening. Somebody doesn't want her to have that stuff out there. So this is a really, really powerful tool that I love. But be careful. Let's be careful about what we put out there. And then the other things is my Steps to Marketing Success play shop. So I've gone through this real quick, and it takes time. Everything takes time. Nothing is magic. There is no magic wand. Everything takes work, but let's make work play. So I will be doing one of these play shops mid-July for only 9 people. Maybe if there's partners, like business partners or somebody from the same business, I can bump that up, because 9 is a really great number to work with and to have interactions with. And we'll go through this whole process and develop it's about close to 100-page that you do the work. We do it collaboratively, but you focus on your own thing, whether it's your artwork, whether it's your nonprofit, whether it's your business, whatever it is. And you get a written playbook of about 100 pages of your work and a written communications plan. How many of you have how many of you have business plans? Written business plans? Sorta. And then in that business plan, there's probably a little bit about marketing, communications. How many of you have a separate marketing plan? Oh, good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yay. Well, the rest of you could have it too. And having it written down, whether it's written by hand, whether it's typed on your computer, whether it's an organic thing, you're going to be examining it every 3 months and changing it up. But you've got it. It's your GPS. And so that's what we'll be doing in July. And there'll be links. There are links in your PDF that you're going to get. And you can get this on your phone or on your computer. And you just go to thecocreationcommunity.com/ebook, put in your your email address, and it'll come right up. I will have your email address. You'll be on my list. If you don't want to be on my list, email me and tell me, take me off your list. I don't do anything with that list that's sketchy. I do not sell it. I do not share it. I operate on a very high standard of ethics. So, but I would love you to have this presentation with all those cool links, and I would love to have you come to either a Simple Savvy Sensational Social Media Strategy play shop, which I probably will be starting up again in the late summer, fall, once a week, or the July event that will be 2 weekends at my home for 9 people. And the 2 weekends will probably not be back to back. It'll be all day, like noon to 5 on one Saturday. Then I'm going to give you 2 weeks because there's stuff you'll need to work on. And then come back at the end and we'll do a full circle critique. And we'll probably also do one of these really fun brainstorm sessions. And that's it. So I would be happy to answer any questions. And if you want to have me be specific about, if you ask specific about social media questions, that's fine too. Because I did gear this to kind of a bigger, a broader thing than just social media, but it all applies.
If you have a question, I just need to bring the microphone to you, so please raise your hand. We've got a couple minutes. It's for the video, so.
Hi, my name is Robin. I work at Grass Valley Courtyard Suites, and I'm the marketing manager over there. So that's why I'm here today. And you had mentioned kind of this co-creating and also, I think, a website. And I know I can look at the slides later, but I guess my interest is in the idea of incentivizing my coworkers to kind of play and have fun and be competitive, but at the same time in a teamwork kind of way. I'm thinking of, because we have a summer special, I'm thinking of doing some kind of game or competition kind of work, a way to have fun at work, but towards work. Do you have any ideas around that? Do you?
Oh yeah.
That's too broad of a question. I guess what would be some resources that I could look into? Maybe your website or?
Definitely look at my website. This is a great book too. It's all about teamwork, doing exercises, and exercises always sounds to me like the gym. Having games to play that make teams work better as teams. There's also a book, I don't have it with me, it's called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And there's a workbook that goes along with the 5 dysfunctions of a team. And they have different exercises or games that you can play. This is phenomenal. The other thing that we did in our company that was really fun, and we ended up doing it for many consecutive years, we did disc profiling. And we hired do you know about disc? You know about Myers-Briggs? Okay, disc is similar. It uses the acronym DISC. Each of those types, a D type, an I type, a S type, a C type, all have a different way of communicating. And you take this little test. You can actually go on, it's not in my resources, but you can write this down, go on to TonyRobbins.com, Tony Robbins' website. He has a free DISC assessment that you can take on his website, and then they come back with the analysis. So we did DISC, and we had a really good facilitator. The folks we had 12 employees, so everybody would take the assessment, and then the facilitator would come and facilitate and talk about how this works with us. And everybody loved it, so we did it every year. And it helps so much with communication. Because Bob, being the president of the company and the general contractor, was the D. He was the president of the company, the CEO type. We had a project manager who was even a stronger D. Bob has in him S also, which is what I am. I'm 2 things too, but S is, why can't everybody get along? Come on, everybody, let's team together. Let's play together fun. Bob has that too. Dave was just D, and he wanted to run the show, and he was in everybody's face. But because we all knew that that was because Dave was a D, we could back off and just let him spout off, and then we could do what we needed to do to get things done. So it's very valuable. DISC is great, and I can give you a referral to a wonderful facilitator. She is in the Bay Area, but given, you know, she could stay at my house if she came up here. DISC is a fun one. So there's all kinds of fun team building activities that are also getting everybody on the same page for what your business is doing.
Thank you so much. I think that's all the time we have for public questions, but you're free to come up after. And thank you so much for this wonderful presentation.
Oh, you're welcome.